A blinding flash, deafening roar, then, chaos. It was December 6, 1917. In an instant, the bustling port city of Halifax, Canada was changed forever. The Halifax Explosion, one of the largest man-made explosions before Hiroshima, left a scar on the city and its people. Thousands dead, more injured, a city in ruins. This is the story of that fateful day and its enduring legacy. In 1917, World War I raged on. Halifax, with its strategic location on Canada's Atlantic coast, was a crucial port. Ships loaded with troops, munitions and supplies departed daily for the battlefields of Europe. The harbor teemed with activity. Warships, merchant vessels and transport ships crowded the Narrows. The city pulsed with a sense of urgency and purpose. But this vital role in the war effort would also make Halifax vulnerable. December 6th dawned cold and crisp in Halifax. The city was blanketed in a serene silence, the kind that only a winter morning can bring. The harbor, usually bustling with activity, was still and quiet, as if holding its breath for what was to come. A light snow dusted the ground, creating a picturesque scene that belied the day's impending chaos. The snowflakes fell gently, covering the streets and rooftops in a thin, white layer. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the impending disaster. Children played in the snow, their laughter echoing through the streets. Shopkeepers opened their stores and workers made their way to the docks, all oblivious to the danger lurking in the harbor. In the harbor, two ships, the SS Mont Blanc and the SS Imo, were on a collision course. The Mont Blanc, a French cargo ship, was carrying a deadly cargo of explosives, while the Imo, a Norwegian vessel, was en route to Belgium to pick up relief supplies. The Mont Blanc, a French cargo ship, arrived late the previous day. It had traveled across the Atlantic, navigating through treacherous waters, to reach Halifax. The crew was weary but relieved to have made it safely to the harbor. It was heavily laden with a deadly cargo explosives destined for the battlefields. The ship's hold was filled with TNT, picric acid, and benzol, making it a floating bomb. Due to safety regulations, it had to wait outside the harbor until morning. The crew knew the risks involved, but they had no choice but to comply with the rules. As dawn broke, they prepared to enter the harbor, unaware that their fateful journey was about to take a tragic turn. The Imo, a Norwegian vessel, was leaving Halifax for New York. It was a cold December morning in 1917 and the harbor was bustling with activity. Ships of various sizes and nationalities were navigating the busy waters, each with its own destination and purpose. The Imo, carrying relief supplies, was on a mission of mercy, but fate had other plans. Due to a series of miscommunications and navigational errors, the two ships found themselves on a collision course in a narrow part of the harbor known as the Narrows. The Mont Blanc, a French cargo ship laden with explosives, was entering the harbor as the Imo was leaving. The narrow passage left little room for error and the stage was set for disaster. Frantic signals were exchanged. The crews of both ships tried desperately to communicate their intentions, but the confusion only grew. Horns blared and flags were waved, but the messages were misunderstood. The tension in the air was palpable as the two ships drew closer and closer. Engines were thrown into reverse. The captains and crews worked frantically to avoid the impending collision. Orders were shouted, and men scrambled to comply. The sound of engines straining filled the air, but the momentum of the ships was too great to overcome, but it was too late. The distance between the two vessels had closed too much, and the collision was inevitable. The realization of impending disaster dawned on the faces of the crew members as they braced for impact. At 8:45 a.m., the Mont Blanc and the Imo collided. The sound of the impact echoed through the harbor, a deafening crash that signaled the beginning of a catastrophe. The force of the collision tore through the hulls of both ships, causing immediate and severe damage. The impact sparked a fire on the Mont Blanc. Flames quickly spread across the deck, feeding on the volatile materials stored below. The crew of the Mont Blanc, realizing the danger, abandoned ship in a desperate attempt to save their lives. The fire ignited the ship's volatile cargo. The Mont Blanc was carrying a deadly mix of explosives, including picric acid, TNT, and benzol. As the flames reached the cargo hold, the situation became even more dire. The stage was set for one of the most devastating explosions in history. At 9:04 a.m., the Mont Blanc exploded. The blast was catastrophic. It remains the largest man-made non-nuclear explosion in history. The force of the explosion was equivalent to 2.9 kilotons of TNT. A massive mushroom cloud 2 miles high rose over the city. The sound of the blast was heard as far away as Prince Edward Island, 150 miles to the southwest. The explosion devastated Halifax. Buildings within a half-mile radius were obliterated. The North End, a working-class neighborhood closest to the blast, was completely flattened. Windows shattered for miles. A tsunami caused by the force of the explosion swept over the waterfront. Fires raged throughout the city, the air was thick with smoke and debris. The Halifax Explosion was a tragedy of immense proportions. On the morning of December 6, 1917, the bustling harbor of Halifax, Nova Scotia, was forever changed. A French cargo ship laden with explosives collided with a Norwegian vessel, resulting in a catastrophic explosion that decimated the area. Over 2,000 people were killed, and entire neighborhoods were obliterated in an instant. The explosion was so powerful that it shattered windows miles away and caused a tsunami that swept through the harbor, and 9,000 more were injured. Hospitals were overwhelmed with the influx of wounded, and makeshift medical facilities were set up to tend to the injured. The community came together in the face of unimaginable devastation. The explosion left an enduring mark on Halifax. Buildings were reduced to rubble, and the city's infrastructure was in ruins. Yet amidst the destruction, stories of heroism and resilience emerged. The city rebuilt, but the scars of that day remain. Reconstruction efforts began almost immediately, with people from all walks of life contributing to the rebuilding process. The spirit of Halifax was unbroken, and the community's determination to rebuild was unwavering. The Halifax explosion stands as a stark reminder of the devastating power of human error. The incident led to significant changes in safety regulations and protocols, ensuring that such a tragedy would never happen again. And the importance of safety regulations. The lessons learned from the Halifax explosion have had a lasting impact on maritime safety and emergency response protocols worldwide. It also serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The people of Halifax showed incredible strength and unity in the face of adversity, rebuilding their city and honoring the memory of those lost. The legacy of the Halifax explosion is one of tragedy but also of hope and resilience.